This would be my advice for somebody that's 18 or right around that age, that's right out of high school, that's not going to go to school. I'm not going to get into going to college or not is a good or bad thing. It's all, there's a lot of variables in that, and life's a combination of a lot of different things. And I'm not going to say one thing's better than the other, but I will give my advice to somebody that is not going to school, somebody that won't go to college or anything after high school. Um, this is something that I did in my life that worked out in my life, and I didn't do it right at 18. I should have, but now I can give the advice because I understand what a difference it would have made in my life if I'd have started earlier. But fortunately for me, I was able to start it later. A lot of older people can't start this for reasons I'll get into right now. Um, it's really easy to say, well, that advice works for everybody, but in this case, it doesn't. It could, but it's not necessarily going to work for everybody. It works for somebody that's usually, or at 18, you're not married, or if you're married, you don't have any kids, hopefully. So this is where you can start living a life that'll help you, or setting up for a life that'll just be a lot easier. See, the biggest problem most adults have is bills, a mortgage payment or a rent payment, whichever, car payments, and of course bills. A lot of bills. And a lot of people are thinking, they want to do something else. They want to do this, travel the world. They want to do all kinds of things, but you're stuck because you're working and you're paying bills and you're probably saving a little bit of money, hopefully. But that doesn't buy you a lot because every month on the 30th, you got to pay your mortgage, your rent, you got to pay your car payment. So it's a never ending um, story of just working all month, paying bills, keeping a little bit of money, and hopefully saving some money or investing a little bit of money. But you're always behind the circle of the cycle of paying bills, and that's because we don't plan right. See, when you're 18, there's something that you can do that people that are older cannot do. See, what happens is I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he tells me he's got his house completely paid off, which is great. And I'm thinking, man, if you sell that house, you can invest. His kids are grown up, and it's just him and his wife. And it's home. If you sell that house, you can invest in a fourplex, and you would live in one unit, and the other three units would pay the mortgage because there's going to be some more after selling your house. You're going to go into a little bit of debt, but the other two units can easily pay your even one unit should pay your mortgage or your loan, and you would have two units if it's a fourplex that you would collect that money, and that would be just income for you. Plus, you're living in one of the apartments. And he tells me one thing that's really important that really made me think about what I'm saying right now. He said, "Listen, I wish I could do it, but I can't because our kids grew up there, and my wife will never let me sell the house," which makes perfect sense. So at his age, it's not that easy to do what I'm saying, what I'm suggesting somebody could do. It's just really hard. There's a lot of complications. There's more things involved, and having a wife sometimes makes a difference. I'll explain why a little bit later. So when you're 18, you're right out of school, high school, or if you went to high school, if you didn't finish it, graduate, that make a difference for this scenario. Usually at that age, your time is spent, and I'll be honest, chasing girls, chasing women, or hanging around with your friends. That's where you spend most of your time. That's it right there. And that's the one thing that's gonna drag you down because it's really nice, hanging around with your friends and working at a retail store where they all work at, or wherever a fast food place, and hanging around with your friends and stuff like that. But you're just losing time. That's all you're doing. My advice would be, once you're 18 or you're out of school, change your friends. Change your friends. You can still be friends, just don't hang out with them. Look for mentors. My biggest advice would be, Go to one of the trades. Go to HVAC. Go to plumbing. Go to electrical. Go to a trade that pays okay. Start as a laborer. This is what I would do. Start as a laborer, and right away, apply for a credit card, even if it's a prepaid credit card, because credit is really, really, really important to set yourself up later. So that's what I would do. I would start hanging out with somebody in the trades, older guys usually that are out there, journeymen, and learn from them. Learn how they live life. Start talking to them, learning from their mistakes, learning from the things that they regret in their lives, stuff like that. Because your mentality is gonna change, and this happened to me once you start hanging around with that kind of people. See, when I was a teenager, yeah, I hung out with my friends. But fortunately for me, right when I turned 18, around that age, I started pouring concrete. I started as a laborer, and right away I got mentors, older guys that would tell me, "Hey, listen, do this, listen, sleep right, eat right, do this, don't do that," and it really helped me because now I had different type of friends that were giving me good advice for my life. Unfortunately, the rest of what I want to talk about, I didn't do, but this I did. So I changed my friends. First thing, changed my friends. My friends are still my friends that I had from school, but I stopped hanging around with them. They were all drinking and having a good time at parties and college and stuff like that. And I was already setting up. I'm not saying I'm more successful than them by no means, but I didn't go to college, so I could be way behind too. This is what I would do: get a job at one of the trades, hang out with those type of people, or you don't have to hang out with them all the time. Just learn from them, let them be your mentors, and start building your credit. Really important. Start building your credit right away. Right away. I understand that at 18 or around that age, you're always going to be chasing women or girlfriends or whatever you want to call it. And that's normal. But there's a limit to it. Don't spend all your money. Don't try to impress anybody. Don't buy the latest iPhone because the new iPhone came out and you have to have it because you got to impress people. That's a trick. That's a trick. That'll set you up for failure. I know a lot of guys that they always need to have the newest car. If their car's 2 years old, it's too old for them, and the rest of their life they're paying bills, just paying bills, going around that round that cycle because they want to drive a new car, they want to have the best phone, and the best brands and clothes and the best tennis shoes and stuff like that, and that's fine, that's fine. But they have a really hard time getting ahead in life because they're stuck in that cycle. So be careful with that cycle. Start at the bottom. A lot of guys, a lot of kids, they want to start way at the top. They want to be all fancy, flashy, and have the new car and show the world they can do it. That's not the time to do it because it's all debt. You don't really have anything. You owe it all. So there's no point in that. I don't think there's a valid point in just living in debt all the time. So I would build my credit. I would work a couple of years, work hard, try and advance in the trades. It doesn't have to be a trade where you're going to stay at for the rest of your life. This is just a head start in life. Start in the trades, make money, build your credit, and after a couple of years, 2 or 3 years maybe, try and buy a fourplex. And I'll tell you why this is the right age to do that, 20, 21, somewhere in there. Because once you get married, most likely your wife is not going to want to buy a fourplex or a triplex or anything like that. She's not. Because at that time she wants to have she wants to raise a family, she wants to have the white picket fence, the American dream, and it's gonna be really hard to convince a wife to buy a fourplex. First thing she may tell you is, I don't want to deal with tenants. What if they call you at 2 a.m. for a clogged toilet? The same old, same old, same old. Which I understand. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's what comes later in life. Once you're married, you're not thinking just by yourself. Now you have a partner, and it matters what she thinks. So this I would do before I get married because it makes a big difference. So if you buy that, you will be living for free because see, when you buy a fourplex, there's something you can do at the bank. The bank automatically, if you're buying a fourplex, the bank automatically credits you for 75% of the income of that property. So if you're only making $50,000, let's say $35,000 a year, and you may be thinking, well, I don't qualify for a fourplex. Well, you got to add 75% of the income that fourplex gives you, which is great because now you can afford more because really you're not just going to be paying it from your job. It's actually going to pay by itself. And if you can't buy one, find a lot, find a contractor. You could do it through the bank too, and buy that instead of buying your first house. This is something that will set you up for the rest of your life. You will never have to make a mortgage payment. I'll tell you why. Because when you buy this fourplex, if you buy it, you're gonna end up living in one unit for free. Which maybe when you get married, your wife doesn't want to live there, but it doesn't matter because when you buy a house, you're gonna rent that unit. So that money that comes in from that unit, I'm not even considering the other three that are cash flow and paying the mortgage or the loan. That one unit that you were living in, you're going to be able to take that money and put it towards your mortgage. So in essence, you're still living there at your house for free because now you're getting the money from the apartment and just paying your mortgage with it. And even if it's from two apartments, just to pay a nice house, a nice mortgage. But for the rest of your life, you're set up. You don't have that mortgage. And that is one thing that'll really, really, really change your life. That's going to make the biggest difference in the world. If you want to say, you know what, I've been doing this job for 5 years, now I want to do something else, you can, because now you don't have that big burden on you. This is advice that is very specific to somebody that is not married. You could be married, but your wife has to agree with this plan, which is not always the case. But if that's the case, that's great. Because another thing that happened, which is what happened to my friend, now that he's got his house paid off, and he could sell his property and do something like that, invest something like that, but his wife doesn't want to sell it because their kids grew up there, and that's their home, so they'll never sell it. So even if it's paid off, it's off limits. Now, I told him, why don't you get a loan on top of that? And he says, no, my wife never gonna let me risk our house. Even though he's a maintenance guy, because he's a friend of mine from work, and we're maintenance techs, so I mean the maintenance would not be such a big issue for us. But you are gonna get into issues with the contracts and rentals and stuff like that. But this is advice that I wanted to give out, to somebody that's starting out in life. I think this could help a lot. If somebody wants to do it, I think you could set up in the first 3 or 4 years of your working life, you could set yourself up for a great rest of your life. Well, I hope this helps somebody, and tell me what you guys think. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? I'm not saying don't go to college. If somebody's already going to college, I'm not going there. That's a whole different issue. This is for somebody that's not going to college for whatever the reason. Well, anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and I'm always here making videos, and you guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever you're having, and God bless you all.